All right, I'm going to circle that. That's where we're going to go with this. All right, so I know we've had some technical difficulties, and what we're going to try to do, we're going to try to get this side of the room taken care of here in just a second. But I know, Peyton, to my understanding, you've only done one interview since what happened down in the Gulf of Mexico. That's Michael Strahan for the most part, right? So when I reached out to Peyton and I asked him if he would do this, he said, yeah, I'll be glad to do it. And this is not easy. And we're not going to spend the whole time talking about what happened down in Pensacola, but it's something we're going to bring up because it's a life-changing moment. But you're talking about a guy who really was one of the great Razorback running backs of all time. And he was in one of the great backfields of all time. So I appreciate Peyton's willingness to do this, and I know there's a huge gathering of the Hillis family. So at this time, if you're with Peyton in terms of family, would you? I don't know where you're at. You're out here somewhere. Will you please stand and let's give them a big welcome? Please stand if you're with mom and dad, uncle. There's mom and there's dad. There's brother. It's an amazing career that he had, and we're really appreciative that he would take the time to be here. Matt, if you're ready, are you ready to go? Or no? Okay, Heather, if you'll hit the open for Steve Sullivan, this is our special guest today.
Peyton Hillis was a pickup pulling superstar at Conway High.
7-1 male box, and we run 4 sets of 100 feet, stuff like that, back down, 90 down, stuff like that.
A rock'em sock'em back who was named the Landers Award winner back in 2003. Then it was off to Arkansas, where Peyton played a co-starring role in one of college football's greatest backfields, McFadden, Jones, and Hillis. Peyton did it all for Arkansas. He rushed for 960 yards. He had just under 1,200 yards receiving. He also returned punts and kickoffs. The Conway native saved his best for his final regular season game. He rushed for 2 touchdowns and caught 2 touchdown passes in Arkansas's triple overtime win over then top-ranked LSU. Peyton played 7 seasons in the NFL, and who can forget that magical 2010 season? Peyton rushed for 1,177 yards and had almost 500 yards receiving, and ended up on the cover of Madden 2012. Please welcome one of the most popular players ever to put on a Razorback uniform, the pride of Conway, Peyton Hillis.
Well, man, let's see, make sure this is on. Check, 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 check. Look at Matt sprinting around there. He's sprinting. There we go. It's hard to believe that you were here last in 2015. I invited you and Felix to come in, and at that time, I'm not sure I guess you had just sort of gotten out of the league, but great to have you back.
I'm really, the pleasure's all mine. Thank you very much for coming out, and hopefully I can give y'all what you paid your money for. Thank
you. Listen, I will say this. Oh, look at it. We got the screen. How about that? Very nice. Good job. How about give it up for Matt Johnson, RJ, for getting that done. So now I'm seeing that the monitor wasn't working. So now he just humiliates me by showing that bicep that he's got hanging out of his sleeve there. I used to have one of those back in the day. Jessica, I'm sorry. So let's do this. Let's first start off talking about where you're at. You're living up in Springdale, right?
Yeah, up in Springdale. I think we moved up there permanently, in 2016, so we've been there ever since.
I mentioned 2015. Matt, I don't even know when I'm punching this up. Okay, look at that picture. Oh my gosh. I love the guy. You look like you sort of got a mohawk on the right. I don't know who that dude in the middle is, but he sure is in shape. I know what happened to him, but he disappeared. And I just want to let you know, that's what's happened after 19 years of the Touchdown Club. That dude has gone, looks like this now. But you and Felix, how cool was that to bring you guys together? I mean, that was such a great backfoot you had back in the day, and Felix was a great guy.
We talked earlier, but I couldn't have picked the worst time to try to be a running back at University of Arkansas with those guys. And every time somebody asks me about him, I always go in. Felix, he would get 10 carries a game, but every one of them be over 10 yards. I mean, he averaged 10 yards a carry in the SEC. It was remarkable. And then, of course, Darren, any play. I don't care if they have 10 guys in the box. Just one play could pop off to 80-yard touchdown. So, you know, I was very blessed to be with those guys, to play with them, and we had some good years.
I know you're big on family. Let's take the next shot up here of your family. So point out who everybody we have here is.
That's my brother, I guess on your furthest right there. Then my mother's next to him. And then that's my sister Haley. And that's my daughter Katie. And that's my father Doug.
And Doug, where's your hand, Doug? Where you at? So Doug, I was looking through some pictures and trying to figure out what kind of personality you had. Let's go to the next picture. I think I found it. There we go. So, did you get your personality from your pops? That's your dad and mom there. What do you think?
Oh, you know, I could not have been raised better. I mean, honestly, my family is the best family that y'all has ever put in my life, and I'm very thankful.
Very nice. So, let's go ahead and talk about, let's go ahead and dive into, you know, we were talking before, I'm from the Panhandle. Grew up in Panama City and very familiar with what the ocean can do out there. So, if you don't mind, let's just sort of go back to that day. I think it was in January. You were down in Pensacola, and this is something where your family had gone there quite a bit, and kids enjoyed it. And just if you would, just because there's some people that may not have heard the story. So you're sitting there on the beach, and tell us what happened.
Sorry if I tear up, but we got there the night before, and I forgot what date it was exactly, but there was a bad storm. And, you know, looking back on it now, you know, I kind of should have probably been paying attention to that. But we stayed there for the night, and the next morning, my whole family, my girlfriend was with us, everybody staying in the condo, and my mother, she says, "Hey, let's take the kids down to the beach." And I said, you know, no big deal. My brother, he didn't come down. My father didn't come down, which, you know, at the end of it, it's a blessing. But anyway, we got to the beach, and it was me, my mother, and my sister, and my brother's wife, Emily. And we had all the grandkids, nieces and nephews, including my own. And my son and Camille, they're the oldest of the, you know, the
That's it
grandchildren.
right there.
And that's actually a picture taken that day. But I remember building sandcastles with my brother's sons, and Ori and Camille. I guess at one point I didn't see it, but they're about 15, 20 yards out there, and a riptide took them out. And there's only one scream that a son or a daughter would know. It was when my mom yelled. And she pointed out, and I already knew something was wrong. So I, you know, hit up the beach and hit the water, and the worst feeling of my life was that I had to pass up my son because my brother's daughter is further out, and I knew that, you know, she's a little younger, that she couldn't take it. And me swimming past my son was the hardest thing that I ever could have done. But at the same time, I guess my sister, she hit the water too, but I didn't see her. And a gentleman came out with a boogie board, and I got to Camille, and she kept saying to me, you know, "We're gonna die, we're gonna die." And I said, "Honey, you're not gonna die. You're not." Man, the boogie board came off, and we took the boogie board off of him, and I put my sister and Camille on it and pushed them away. And right when that happened, I went back with my son. He was a little bit further back to the beach, and By the time I got to him, he was limp. And, you know, you kept on seeing his eyes roll back, and I'm sitting there holding, and you're just stuck right here in the middle of this water, and you couldn't move. And, you know, you hear a lot of people say, you know, this is what you do when you get in a riptide, but, you know, when you're holding your 140-pound child and you can't move, and you're just thinking at every second, it could be his last. And I mean, we were there for a little while. I mean, from 8 to 10 minutes. And Todd would come in and I'd be holding him. He would try to get a breath a little bit, and 11, 12-foot waves would hit. And I guess I didn't know it, but I was just taking in so much water just from the all day drilling that was going on. But I'm sitting there holding him, and I look back to the beach, and everything started slowing down. And of course I see my mother, and I see my brother's wife Emily on the beach, and I'm sitting there holding him, and I said, you know, I'm not going to make it. I said, Yahweh, please save my son. And I don't care what happens after that. But we end up getting out the riptide, and I'm starting to go to the beach, and my son starts getting a little life back in him, and I push him away, and somebody helped him out of the water, and as I was walking to the beach, I just passed out. And last thing I remember is my girlfriend Angela trying to help me out of the water, you know, from pretty far out, and I kept on falling down and couldn't move, couldn't stand up, and I just kept on taking in more water. But that's the last part that I remember of that until I woke up in the hospital 10 or 12 days later.
You were on the, I don't know if anybody, I didn't want to show, he said he'd be fine looking at the picture, but I just, you know, didn't want to show, but there were ambulances, there was a helicopter that came out, the Baptist Hospital helicopter came out, and so you just knew you got to the beach, you knew your son, you know, your niece were okay, and then it blacked out. So you were in the hospital for 10 days. At what point in the hospital could you figure out what was going on?
Well, I think that was probably the worst part for me, was because, I mean, I passed out not knowing nothing, not knowing if they made it or not. And it seemed like the whole time I was under for 2 weeks, I was either dreaming about them dying, and me not get to them on a few different occasions. And then when I'm awake, you know, you're on a ventilator, and I don't know why this would happen, but I could hear my girlfriend and my dad talking. And I was thinking to myself, I think I heard a nurse speaking Spanish. I was like, what am I doing in Mexico? And anyway, like, you're coherent when you're awake, and I just hear them talking like, you know, he has to wake up this time, or, you know, he'll probably go into coma. And after a few times of hearing that, you know, I started freaking out. And my dad, I guess they told him, you know, he played music to help them wake up. Well, he started playing Johnny Cash, Ring of Fire, and I was like, there ain't no doubt I'm in Mexico. I mean, that's what I was just thinking the whole time. But when I woke up, I remember my whole family standing over me, and my mom, she got over me and said, Peyton, everybody made it. And that was the biggest relief I've ever felt, because I know if I'd have lost my niece or my son, that I wouldn't be able to endure it. I wouldn't be here. But also, I know with my brother, my brother, he had a stroke a few months before this incident, and I just know if my dad or my brother would have went out, it would not have been well. And how Yahweh made everything work out just perfect for my good. And I'm very thankful for that. When I woke up, I remember myself just crying because I didn't know what to think. I was thinking to myself, I felt guilty for not minding to die, and I felt guilty for living at the same time, and didn't know, kind of lost myself. But I heard the Lord calling out to me. He's like, Peyton, if it's permissible, then it's necessary. And if it's necessary, it's permissible. And all things, all bad things, work out to your good. And I'm trying to look at every life situation where, when you really look at it, you can find the good in all things, even all the bad. And those bad things are the ones that are supposed to make you become perfected and make you be the man that the Lord wants you to be. Months previous to that, I was not in a good spot anyway, but I found out that the Lord loves you no matter what you do. You always been so very good to me, and I know that no matter what I do in my life, what sin I commit, it will never take me away from Him. Like the prodigal son in Luke 15. Son takes his inheritance, squanders it away, sleeping with pigs, all sorts of things. But when he comes back, the father brings him his inheritance. And I know that of all the bad and evil things that we have done or I've done, that I'm forgiven. And I'm very thankful that the Lord showed me that.
Well, obviously, I know that's tough to share, but I know everybody appreciates you sharing that. And then, you're there in the hospital. You don't realize now it's national news. I mean, it's a national story, and I'm sure you don't realize that at the time, but it has. But down in Pensacola, there's a former running back, Matt. If you'll punch up that next picture, so that guy right there, the all-time leading rusher in NFL history, is from Pensacola. He comes by to see you. So was that sort of one of the realizations of my goodness, this thing has gone national, that you got Emmitt Smith coming by to check on me?
When I was in there, I was going through either a lot of pain and, for a while they had to learn how to walk again and do some stuff like that. But when my father said he was going to come, he was my hero when I was a kid. That's why I wore number 22. And so I think he called me the night after the Cowboys won their first playoff game in a long time and said, I'm going to come down and see you. And, when he came in, he was an upstanding guy, tremendous gentleman, and, really cared about the situation I was in. So that was really nice.
Also, too, on one of your social media accounts, you put this picture. This is the staff there, and you just talked about how important everybody. There's your girlfriend there. Talk about how important that staff was and what they did for you for that time you were there.
The most incredible staff that anybody could have had. I mean, they were waiting on me hand and foot, for anything that I needed or wanted, and they kept a lot of people away that should have been kept away, and by the time we left, they were like family. And if I, we were even saying, whatever we come to in the future, where we have to be put up, we're going to come back here because it's so good. But my poor folks, they seen me almost die about 6 times. So I hope I don't have to put them through too much more of that.
It had to be a little bit, again, you told me the number of texts you got, and the number of people that, all the NFL teams you played for, the Razorbacks, all that. And then you find yourself with Michael Strahan on Good Morning America. Was there ever a moment you look around and saying, this is, all this is how this is happening? It's almost crazy how this is happening.
Well, when I woke up, everybody was telling me how much coverage it was getting, but at first I didn't really want to talk to anybody. I didn't really want it to be out there to where maybe my son can hear it again, or my daughter, or even my niece, and that kind of worried me. But they kept on reaching out, and Miss Strahan being an ex-player, I felt kind of comfortable going with him because of all the millions of fans and people reaching out for me, for the best, and I felt like I owed them, to tell the story.
Well, I thought you did a great job with Strahan, and now obviously everyone wants to know. So, how is your son and how is your niece? How are they doing after all this?
Thankfully, it's like nothing ever happened. My son, he's all the best parts of me and none of the worst. And he's a wonderful kid, great kid, and I'm very thankful to have him. He makes me proud. And right now he's playing football and he's doing halfway decent. I tell the truth. But my niece, she's a heck of a softball player. She's probably the best athlete in her family, and she still has all the sass that she did before it happened. So I think she's doing all right.
So one of the things you have to think that enabled you to do what you did that day was the fight, the work ethic, the discipline that you've shown all your life. And I don't know if you guys on this side got to see, but if we can, let's put up the video that Sully used. This was you in high school. Not every high school player does it. That's Peyton Hillis there, somewhere in Conway. This was part of your training, pulling trucks. Now, where in the heck did you come up with this idea back when you were 16 or 17 years old to do that as a way of training?
I'll be completely honest with you, I don't remember. But I know I picked it up when I was about a sophomore in high school. And to tell you the truth, now that I'm looking back on it, I think it was Ray Lewis that kind of gave me the idea. And then fast forward some years later, we played him a lot, became good friends, and it was all so surreal. And I was telling my dad even, I think last week, he called me and he's like, man, I knew crap, but he didn't use the word crap.
Yeah.
I knew crap can float, but you're the best at it. So, but he's just one of those guys that you love being around. He's highly energetic, and he makes you smile. So, anything coming from him was always good in my life.
Well, if you've forgotten the rare combination that Peyton had of size, strength, hands when it comes to receiving, running routes. Let's show Matt. Let's go to the video. A few plays of Peyton Hillis when he played for the Razorbacks in those great years back on the Hill. We remember that game.
Hillis, Peyton Hillis, being chased but will not be caught. 65-yard touchdown.
Was there ever a frustration seeing that what you could do there, and you look over there and there's one of the greatest players to ever play college football, Hall of Famer Darren McFadden. And you said Felix Jones over there, he's averaging 8 yards a carry. You're thinking, man, there they are right there. Is that come at my timing? Could I have been just a few years earlier or later? Was there ever a frustration at that point going, man, I wish I could be getting more carries or more touches?
When I was younger, I had those thoughts. As time goes on, I've learned that everything that has happened in my life, my choice or not, has been what's best for me. and you know, it built character. You know, the longer you live in this world, the more the Lord's going to grow you up. And you know, looking back, I'm just glad that I had the opportunity to play with two guys that amazing, because it made me better.
So I know that you felt that you probably, didn't get the exposure that you probably did. Where'd you end up going? What round did you end up going? So seventh round?
Seventh round.
Seventh round, 227, I think, something like that. You go to the Denver Broncos, and you're behind a bunch of guys. Had some injuries happen, and worked your way up to where you were able to show a little bit of what you could do. And then all of a sudden there was a trade to the Cleveland Browns, and you're talking about God's timing. Blue collar town, blue collar city, a great fit for you. Same thing, gets to Cleveland, you're behind 18 guys, it seems. But all of a sudden, guess what happens? Injury, injury, injury. And you got your chance to show what you could do. And I want, Matt, if you can find, I want to show you. First of all, let's do this. So, before we show the video, I want you to show some pictures of what Peyton Hillis looked like as a Cleveland Brown. So if you'll go, there you go. So that's number 40. Look at the arms on that dude coming at you. That's not a linebacker, that's a running back. All right, go to the next one. There he goes. He's turning to the Incredible Hulk right there on the field. A couple other ones here. I mean, that is a load coming at you. How much did you weigh, Peyton, around that time?
245, 250.
245 and running probably a 4.5, 4.4. And the next one, this is one of my favorites. Yeah, I don't want any part of that. But what's crazy, you see all those muscles and that thickness. Let's look at the video. So this is a couple minutes, and I want you to see what the Cleveland fans fell in love with, if you can there, Matt.
And we've got 42-yard line. Hillis. Leaping over the middle.
Like a wrestling move there in the end zone. How about that? Woo! Woo! So that's got to be fun to let your kids see. That's what Pops used to do.
I think one of my son's friends at school showed him one. I never showed him one. I know my brother has tried to show him one other time. And he came home. He goes, Dad, I saw one of your highlight videos. I said, what'd you think? He goes, you're a lot slower than I thought. He has that hill of sarcasm. So.
You know, it's amazing. So again, you all of a sudden you're at Cleveland, and that year, I think it was 2011, I think off the top of my head. So you've been behind all these guys, you get your chance, you become, I think, number 6 in the NFL, the entire NFL, number 6 in combined rushing and passing yards combined. Guess who was at number 5 right in front of him? Darren McFadden. So, but you found yourself, this is where you wanted to be. You knew you could do this all along, and then Cleveland loves you. They fell in love with you because you were their type of guy. How magical was that season?
You know, it's wonderful. I mean, even to this day, I can get off the airport in Cleveland and everybody's going to know who you are. I mean, they really, it's the biggest, smallest city in the country, and it's filled with great folks. And no matter what, kind of like Arkansas fans, doesn't matter how the team's doing, they're going to show up and they're going to support their guys. You know, that season was remarkable. And, you know, I think you're right. For a long time, I worked myself up, you know, to that position, had to overcome a lot, but I'm just still very thankful that I got the opportunity.
Following year, obviously Madden, probably most of you in this room probably have not played Madden, but for the first time ever, I mean, this is millions of kids play this game. For the first time ever, Madden decided to open it up to the public, so it was a 32-person bracket. You were the 10th seed on one side. You had Aaron Rodgers and Ray Lewis and all these other folks that had been on there, and yet you got in there and you kept winning. You kept winning, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember who you beat in the final. It may have been Ray Lewis or Aaron Rodgers, either one.
Michael Vick.
It was Michael Vick. It was Michael Vick with 70. You don't forget 70% of the vote. He goes on the cover of Madden from where he started to get there. Pretty darn amazing. Something they can never take away. How cool was it getting the fan vote and getting millions? I remember it was happening. I said, man, Peyton Hillis is going to win this thing. What was that like?
You know, again, it's remarkable. You know, I think I caught something with the fans and other people around the country that I felt like they finally noticed my hard work, and it was something that a lot of people could relate to. And you know, it all because of them while I was on there in the first place. There's so many more players that were better than me. But, you know, I think they said that since that was the first year of the fan vote, that's been the most popular Madden still to this day. And so that's pretty cool.
Well, you know, they can't take that away from you. You know, one of the best compliments I used to get is people when I, you know, being older, that say, you sort of look like, you and Peyton Hillis sort of look alike. I was like, really? I like that because, you know, I remember at the time that there were also some promotional shots of you that I thought, okay, a match for the first. Look at there. There we go. And look at that dude. I'll take that. Show the next one.
Old Basil.
Boom. And then look at there. Tom Cruise right there. Look at that.
Where'd you find those?
But hey, what an amazing life you led. You came right out of Central Arkansas and accomplished a lot. The greatest thing, though, is that I know you don't like the word hero, but I heard that being thrown around and being mentioned a lot, and I think that's something that most people say that you are, and I know you've given an answer to what you consider what happened on that day in the beach was not being a hero.
You know, like I told Mr. Strahan, I was like, it's not a hero. I mean, there's so many fathers in this room that would do the same thing, and you know, they wouldn't think twice. But after all this, you know, I was sitting around thinking how much more love we have to give the fathers in this country, because I know that my dad did everything he possibly could to make me successful, and you know, men don't usually get the credit. They just go out there, put their heads down, and work for their family, and you know, they hope the best. And a father's the only person that will be proud if his son is better than he is. So I think we need to start showing fathers a lot more love than what we do. I think they're very important, And so if you have a dad out there, you know, or a mom, just make sure you tell them how much you love them, because any day could be their last.